Breaking NEWS appeals court rules Trump liable in E Jean Carroll sex abuse and defamation case. A federal appeals court upheld a New York jury's guilty verdict finding President-elect Donald Trump liable in the E Jean Carroll sex abuse and defamation case. In May, the jury found that Trump sexually abused E Jean Carroll, but that there was not enough evidence to say he had raped her. The panel of 6 men and 3 women also found that Trump injured advice columnist Carroll in a Manhattan Bergdorf Goodman dressing room in 1996 and defamed her when he called her a liar, ordering him to pay a total of $5 million in damages. They made their decision after just 3 hours of deliberation. In September, Trump appeared at the federal appeals court in New York as his lawyers fought to overturn the verdict. The former president's motorcade was seen pulling up to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Manhattan, where attorneys presented oral arguments before a panel of 3 judges, all of whom were appointed to the bench by Democratic presidents. Dressed in his trademark navy suit and bright red tie, Trump entered the courtroom and walked straight past Carroll, who was sitting in the front row of the public gallery. It marks the presidential candidate's first time in court since his assassination attempt in July, and security was tight, with attendees required to go through metal detectors upon arrival. All phones and other electronics were banned from the courtroom. The Republican nominee is contesting the May 2023 verdict stemming from his alleged mid-1990s encounter with Carroll, who claimed Trump sexually assaulted her at Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room and later defamed her when he publicly denied her allegations. His attorneys claimed the trial court erred by allowing in certain evidence such as the infamous Access Hollywood tape, in which Trump can be heard boasting about grabbing women's genitals, as well as testimony from other women who have accused him of sexual misconduct decades ago. In his 2-minute rebuttal, Trump's attorney John Sauer called the case a textbook example of implausible allegations being propped up by highly inflammatory, inadmissible evidence. He also reiterated Trump's claims from his testimony that the presidential candidate has never even met Carroll. Addressing the panel, Sauer called the lawsuit of quintessential, he said. She said case that was lacking in physical evidence, eyewitnesses, and police records. Circuit Judge Denny Chin interrupted Sauer's argument, noting it's very hard to overturn a jury verdict based on evidentiary rulings, and asked him why the verdict should be thrown out. Sauer questioned U.S. District Judge Roberta Kaplan's decision to allow the Access Hollywood tape and testimony from Jessica Leeds, who accused Trump of groping her on a plane in the late 1970s, to be heard as evidence. Sauer reiterated that Leeds' evidence should have been excluded. Judge Chin pressed Sauer further about the Access Hollywood tape and said that it was a confession about a modus operandi. Responding to Sauer's arguments before the panel, Carroll's attorney Roberta Kaplan stood by the evidence presented at the trial. She insisted that Leeds' testimony was admissible under a law that was in effect in 1979, and therefore the incident would have been considered a crime as the trial judge, Roberta Kaplan, concluded. The lawyer also argued that Trump has a pattern of attacking women that begins with pleasantly chatting them up before suddenly pouncing on them and subsequently trashing the women when he is accused. She added that Trump had refused to testify or even attend the trial despite being given the opportunity. A jury found that Trump was liable for sexually assaulting Carroll, a journalist in the mid-1990s. Jurors awarded the former Elle magazine advice columnist $2.02 million and $2.98 million for her sexual assault and defamation claims respectively, in a May 2023 judgment. Trump was separately found liable for defaming Carroll in a second trial that took place in January this year, where a jury ordered him to pay her $83.3 million for having defamed her and damaging her reputation in June 2019 after she first accused him of rape. In both denials, Trump said he didn't know Carroll, that she was not my type, and that she made up her story to promote her memoir. In their appeal, filed in November, Trump's lawyers claimed he couldn't get a fair trial in New York. The former president claimed that Judge Kaplan erred in rulings during the May 2023 trial that violated President Trump's rights. The filing stated, "The improper verdict in this case is a gross miscarriage of justice, backed by political operatives long opposed to President Trump and his politics, based on false and unsupported claims." In other legal filings, Trump's lawyers claimed the attack on Carroll never occurred.